that's her. Welcome. Hi. Hi. Guys. Hi, I'm Ting. I moved here from China. People here are so nice, not like in Chinese city. Well, that's not always the case, you know. Nope. Nope. Discrimination was also a part of Canada's gradual acceptance to immigrants. From 1914, it was almost impossible for people from many non-prolific countries to come into Canada, like China, Japan, Austria-Hungary, Poland, and others. Acts like the Chinese Immigration Act, Wartime Measures Act, Deportation, and the Wartime Elections Act were put into place to prevent the enemy aliens from coming into Canada. At that time, people from all over Asia and Europe were being deported, probably because of all that discrimination, yeah, and all that. Be glad that you weren't born at that time. People like the Chinese were being targeted for deportation. If they were caught with criminal records or misconduct, people would be deported right away. And this was especially hard since there was the production of opium involved in the Chinese community back then. People had to be really careful.
我要变送会送活了。为什么？现在是找我有一家店嘛。我们付这么多钱，这么多赚这么多工，也不是住在加拿大，说不让我们住在这里，都不可以带我们出国来。你们完蛋了！我是转学学生，不要管这种东西。抓上！哎。
But it's okay now. Look at us. We're all Asians, going to school, and you have families that live and work here freely. Canada's learned lots from that time. This is why immigration affects Canada the most. Because without discrimination, we wouldn't be the peaceful country that we are today. Discrimination still happens once in a while these days. But we're all equal. That's Canada's motto, after all.
Canada's economy was heavily valued on the immigration system also. For the most of the time, Canada preferred skilled immigrants, and these immigrants were the majority of the employees. For example, there were about 21,000 Canadians of Japanese ancestry in British Columbia, and 70% of these were known to be citizens in Canada. These Japanese people were the major workers in forestry and fishing industry. Unfortunately, these people were being discriminated also. In 1940s, after the attack from Japan on Pearl Harbor, the Americas turned their backs to the Japanese in the region. Although many Japanese Canadians didn't support Japan's involvement in the war, these people were forced to be placed in internment camps.
Come in! All your shipping equipment will now be under the property of the government. You will now be relocated to another part of Canada for protection's sake. What? Why? What's the reason for this? I demand a reason. This is for your own good.
All those Japanese people, all of them are spies. Who knows what they could do? I'm glad they're being shut up now.
What's going on? I thought this was a land of the free and prosperity. My father came here many years ago to make a life for himself and for his family. Why are we treated as criminals? I thought we were Canadian citizens.
I'm cool.
Me too.
What's there to eat?
Nothing.
I'm so hungry.
Julia, stop paying. We need to work in this internment camp. I can't do it by myself. At the end of the war, the government gave them two choices. They could either return to Japan or move inward to east of the Rocky Mountains. Later, all the Japanese people in Canada became enfranchised citizens again. The point system was introduced, which judged potential immigrants on their labor market skills and adaptability to Canadian culture, rather than their racial or ethnic backgrounds.
Yeah, my father moved here to work. He good worker.
Yes, my grandfather came to Canada with the hope to have better working conditions. Canada welcomes many skilled immigrants. These skilled and educated ones are the people affect our economy. These immigrants makes up the population in Canada, and through these immigrants, Canada's economy is furthered. This is why immigration affects Canada the most. We're all part of Canada, and without this immigration happening, Canada's economy will decline majorly, and the country will fall apart.
During the period between 1967 and 2000, the government had become more accepting to immigrants. Many of these immigrants were refugees from other countries. One example is in 1973, when the people of Chile fled their countries because of the overthrow of their government. At first, the government response to the refugees was slow, but after much pressure from the people of Canada, the Canadian government started to let refugees in. By 1975, 1,188 people from Chile had entered Canada. Another example of refugees entering Canada is the refugees of Vietnam. These refugees flee the Vietnam War. Many countries are already denying them entry. Initially, Canada was going to deny the Vietnamese people entry too, but after the public's reaction towards the decisions, the government changed the decision. When the Canadian public heard by the treatment of the Vietnam people that they have suffered in their country and also by other countries, they were outraged and also sympathetic towards these people. Soon, many Vietnam people have started entering the country, and many private organizations sprung up to help these people.
Bonjour mes nouveaux amis. Nous sommes une organisation qui aide les nouveaux immigrants au Canada.
Ah, bonjour!
Nous avons un peu de nourriture et de vêtements pour vous.
Ah, merci, merci. Que bien de ce que nous mettons.
Avez-vous besoin d'autre chose?
Non, non, merci beaucoup.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Au revoir. Merci.
Ils sont si bons! Après ce voyage horrible de Vietnam au Canada dans le petit bateau, je pensais que nous allons mourir. Et pourtant, nous sommes ici.
C'est vrai, mais pas tous les Canadiens sont de ce genre. De nombreux nos sales beaux people dans les rues à me donner à la hero.
C'est bien. Je crois que nous avons encore horreur du Canada et que nous pouvons survivre ici que dans tout autre pays dans le monde.
Oui.
Well, the importance of immigration on Canadian history is that it emphasizes Canada's place as a peacekeeping country and also the middle power. Many of these refugees are escaping from countries that are war-torn or they're escaping from persecution. By coming to Canada, they know that Canada is a safe haven from persecution and dictatorship, as Canada is a democracy. These refugees also know that if they do have a problem with the government, they can protest or send a letter stating their problem, and that they will always have a say in what their government does.
That was very informative. That was very informative. I think I learned something new about Canada today.
Wasn't that a fun conversation?
Yeah. I'm glad you learned something new today. Yeah, I did. I never knew that was so hard for the Chinese people to come into Canada so long ago. This is kind of discriminative. That is kind of discriminative, as you call it. However, now I can clearly see that there are so many Chinese people in Canada, and all different races are getting along with each other without basing each other on the color. Multiculturalism. It must be a big part of Canada's culture that they can learn to live in all peace together. And it proves that Canadian government has learned from their past mistake and have become one of the biggest countries with the highest immigration rate.
Yeah, so Canada is basically built on immigration. Without immigration, there wouldn't be any people, no Canadians.
Definitely, and many skilled trade workers like my father come to Canada every year for a new life, right?
Yeah.
The economy is so good that all the skills that our workers often bring to Canada. Without many of these workers, the investor and the other Screw immigrants. The Canada's economy will not be what it is today. So it is really important, huh?
Yeah, and
the Vietnamese poor people. Yeah, it's so cool, the story. How the Canada is the refuge for the refugees.
yeah, and
And the shelter for the storm. The safe haven for the peace.
yeah, and
I get it now. The Canada's role as a middle power and a peacekeeping nation is all reflected on how it helps people in need such as the refugees. And even if the government does not agree with letting a huge amount of refugees in at the same time, this, like the Vietnamese people, the Canadian people, they lobby, they protest, and the government will let them in. This shows what a great big heart the Canadian people have.
that's great, Ching. Okay, I think class is starting soon, so let's head on up.
Okay. I see how immigration and multiculturalism is so important to Canada now.
So with its ups and downs, different people from different places,
Is what truly makes Canada.
Canada.
On your mark, get set, go.
Did you get the water?
Nope. Or you're gurgling. Oh, I can't say it. Okay, pop another way. Wait.
Okay, we gotta.
Wait, you guys.
Welcome. 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 Why are you laughing?
Earthquake! Stop!
That's so.
What? Why are you doing? Why? What? Why? What's the reason for it? All your fishing equipment will now be I'm so close. So close.
And the free of prosperity. My father came to. Wait, you're. Wait, why are we treated like criminals? What's a lie? This land was a free. What?